Ladies and gentlemen, today is July 30th, 2015. And this is the KNKL Show, episode 249, where we normally learn to be better artists, but today just so happens to be Thursday. I'm your host, Keenan Lafferty, and yes, today we are not going to be learning so much about art, but we are going to be delving deep within our minds and asking ourselves some very important questions. And today's topic is learn to be better artists, but today just so happens to be Thursday. I'm your host. Today is streaming your own thing, and why you should definitely not do that. I had my stream going in the background. But yes, or maybe it's my past self talking to me. I don't know. But yes, today we're going to be talking about believing in yourself and why that actually is the hardest thing that you can ever do in life. And once you have that belief in yourself, it's almost like you want to imagine it's the tipping point. The tipping point, the giant boulder sitting atop the mountain, and the belief is the thing that pushes it over, and then the momentum and gravity will pull it all the way down the mountain. And we're going to be alluding that to your good old life. All right, but first, before we get into that, I do need to update you guys because we have finished our good old pool party Lulu that is uploaded on the DeviantArt. You can go check that out. If you're watching on YouTube, link is in the description. And for those of you who wanted to check out the PSD, you can go ahead and go sponsor on the Patreon or go donate and pledge on the Patreon. You can get all, not only this PSD, but all the other PSDs from shows past. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, out of the way, let's go ahead and get into today's talk. Yes, believing in yourself. All right, because, you know, the biggest thing I've been thinking about is that we've been doing a lot of negative stuff. I always like to have, like, a negative point on whatever we're doing. Or I like to give harsh truths. It's almost like demotivational speaking. And, you know, I remember the good old days where we just used to talk and like, it was just so positive. Everything was happy. Everything was good, right? And nothing was bad in life. Nothing was bad. You could just go about doing whatever you wanted to do in life, and all you had to do is believe in yourself, and you would make it, right? You just need to believe yourself, and you'd make it, right? Like when you go to the family reunion and you tell your aunts and uncles that you want to be an artist, and they put their hand on your shoulder, and they're like, I hope you make it, right? Because they don't believe in you, right? But you're going to believe in yourself because, like I said, it's the hardest part. And one of the biggest reasons why it's the hardest part is because something that I just mentioned. A lot of people won't see it for you. A lot of people won't see the future that you want to create for yourself. They won't see the fact that what you are very passionate about, be it, you know, artwork or video games. I mean, still today, you tell people you want to be a professional gamer, it's like they just roll their eyes at you. You know, it's impossible. You can't do that. And yet, look at what people are doing these days. It's like it is becoming like an actual sport. People are flocking by the thousands to go see these in arenas, just like normal sports, which if you actually look at it, you know, some guys bouncing around a ball and chucking it into a hoop. How is that any more interesting than watching somebody play a game of Splatoon or Team Fortress 2 or Counter-Strike for that matter? So a lot of people just don't, you know, a lot of people get locked into like the current conditioning of what they think life is, what they think the world is, and what they think that, you know, your future. Everybody has a vision for what your future should be. And you ever notice how people are so willing and actually give great advice? They give great advice to people who are asking for it, or they give great direction for people's lives. But oftentimes those people don't take that direction for themselves. They don't take that advice, and, you know, they don't practice what they preach. And, you know, I mean, obviously, like, I do that too. Like, everything I tell you guys about is like, my motto is this, like, listen to what I say very carefully, but don't watch me too closely, right? Because I'm still working on a lot of this stuff too. A lot of the stuff that I talk about, it is cementing it back in my own brain, and it is really, really good for me because it's just nice to hear myself say these things. So, on that note, I would highly recommend that if you guys are feeling like you're a little bit kind of lost in your direction or losing focus in life, I would highly recommend that you maybe talk to somebody or find somebody. Like if somebody asks you for direction or asks for advice, I want you to pay very, very close attention to what you tell them, because oftentimes that's probably the best advice that you could give yourself. Or if somebody isn't like asking you that direct question, then maybe you get yourself a handy little webcam. Everybody has a webcam these days. You got a little laptop, you got like even a phone, like literally take a video of yourself and tell yourself advice. Talk to yourself about where you want to go and what you want to do. That's basically what I've done here. That's basically why I started the show, is because I wanted to improve. You know, you guys have heard this story a million times, but it was like I started the show for me. I started the show because I wanted to become a better public speaker. I wanted to be more confident with myself. I wanted to be more confident in front of a camera. I wanted to be confident and comfortable just like in my own skin. So anyway, okay, but that's a whole side tangent. Let's get back to the main thing. Focusing in on this. Let's Make sure you guys are good. All right, good. Oh, we're not dropping any frames. Oh, we dropped 50, but that's okay. 50 out of 7,000. That's great. That's a great number. Great ratio. Let's continue with belief. And why I truly believe that is the hardest thing to do. The hardest thing to do. And why it actually gets easier after that. Why it actually gets way easier after that. So here's what I honestly believe. And really the biggest reason why I'm talking about this is because of this. So you guys probably look at, you guys have artists that you look up to, right? I look up to people like Alvin Lee and Samwise Didier, that's a comic book artist and Blizzard art director, respectively. And I look up to those people and I say to myself, man, those guys are so good. I bet when they get an assignment, they just know exactly what they're going to do. Like, they don't stress out about anything. Everything is just like perfect, and they know exactly what they're doing. They're perfectly confident in their abilities, and they just sit down. They sit down, and we're gonna revisit that in just a second. Right? They sit down and they get to work, right? And they never have any problems. They just get it done, and they send it right over to their client, and they love it right from the get-go. No changes needed whatsoever. Thank you, Alvin Lee. Thank you, Samwise Didier, for being so awesome. You guys are just so brilliant, right? And then you look at yourself and like, oh man, well, I could never feel like that. I'm still struggling to like figure out basic anatomy and like posing and what the heck is a thumbnail? I've never heard of that before, and you just kind of get caught up in this whole like, you don't have much confidence. But here's the other interesting thing. Here's the interesting thing about that is that, believing in yourself or having that confidence within your artwork or your skills, that is something that you will constantly have to fight for. You want to think about it, it's like a war. It's like a fight for territory. And as soon as you stop fighting for your side, the basically the insecurity, the underconfidence, all that stuff will automatically take over, right? You got to constantly be fighting for that. You got to be fighting for that belief in yourself. You got to tell yourself, look, like, I know what I want my life to be, and I believe that I can do it. Even when no one else believes in you, even when no one else sees it for you, you've got to know that your life is your own. You got to know that you are the person. You are the guide, and basically you are the person that's going to make anything out of your life, because trust me, nobody else is going to do it for you. Everybody else is so caught up in their own like crap. They don't have time. They don't have time to make your life happen for you. No one's going to come through and hold your hand and show you the way to the magical land where there's no more worries and everything's taken care of for you, right? Everybody else is too busy trying to find that for themselves. So you got to understand that if anybody's going to believe in you, it's got to start with yourself. And here's the other interesting thing is that once you actually do believe in yourself and then you start doing like really awesome things, then of course people are going to come around and be like, I've been a supporter of this guy since day one. I mean, I knew he was going to do great. I knew he was going to be awesome, and like, well, your parents could do that, but oftentimes a lot of parents, they can be a little skeptical about what you want for your life. They can be a little skeptical, especially if it's, you tell them you want to be an artist or, whatever. They'll be like, oh, no, you don't want to do that. I had plenty of coworkers that worked with me at Riot that had this same exact story. It's like, oh, no, you don't want to be an artist. There's no future in that. What you want to do, you want to be a postal worker like your grandfather and your father, right? You got to do what the family's done or be in the family business. Nice, safe things, because it's all based around their reality. It's all based around their experiences. Whereas you feel very passionate about something. You feel very interested in something and you want to strike out and you want to go get it. Right? But you got to understand there's going to be sometimes, some people are very lucky. I mean, I was lucky enough to have parents that supported me a lot in what I did. But it's interesting. It still came at a cost. I remember the day my dad sat me down and I asked him, I was like, Pops, how come when I told you I wanted to be an artist, you were so supportive of me from day one? And the reason is because when he was younger, he decided that he was going to work in the movie business. He was going to become a prop builder and like a set builder for Warner Brothers, right? Because that's what all of his friends were doing. It was really good money right up front. And, he knew that it was just like a good chance to get to making money and like supporting a family and like creating a life for himself. And it was good. It was a really good thing for the beginning. But he always knew inside that he had something else. He had another passion. He had another creative thing inside of him that he wanted to express. And he too wanted to be an artist. He wanted to be able to draw things. He wanted to be able to sculpt things. But he pushed it to the side because he saw something else. He saw immediate satisfaction. He saw immediate, returns and benefits, in the form of money, which is good. That stuff is important. Money is an important resource we need to consider, It's not everything, but it's definitely something. I don't like to hear people be like, oh, like money is like evil, or money is like, money just ruins things, or money, it can, right? Because money, I actually heard it illustrated really well in this talk by Stuart Wilde. He says money is basically power in our realm, if you will. Money is power, and just as easily as you can take that power and do something good with it, you can also use that power to destroy with it. So it's a very, it's like a Spider-Man thing. You gotta have good responsibility. Great power comes with great responsibility, and it can either build or destroy. So it's neither good or bad. It really comes down to how you choose to express the power that you get. But anyway, regardless, moving on, going back to that story. So he basically, he went for something in the beginning and pushed his real passion to the side. And eventually it got to the point where he could no longer, and here's the other thing. He had other friends that decided that they were going to continue with their education in artwork and all that stuff, right? And then as the years went by, he continued working in the movie business. He saw his friends, at first maybe they weren't making as much money as him, or maybe they weren't as successful as him, financially, but eventually they got to the point where they had really developed their art skills and they became amazing. And then they were going on, and then they became, they were living the life, and they were doing the things that my father wanted to do, right? And so he always looks back on that as, I don't know if he necessarily regrets it, but he always thinks about it as I had a passion that I knowingly pushed it aside. There was something that I really wanted to do, and I didn't quite go for it. I feel like I maybe settled a little bit. And my dad's a great guy. He's super supportive, and he has a great life for himself now. He's really happy living, just down the street from me. So, but really, I think that was the biggest reason why he said that, I need to understand that, when someone has a passion for something, or when someone has a very high amount of interest in something, I need to be very supportive of that, because I don't want you to get to, the point where I am in my life and realize that you might be a little bit too, it might be too far beyond time for you to, you don't have enough time left. It's almost like you don't have enough time, which I still think is not really necessarily true. But you can get hung up with the family life and all that stuff. All the kids are gone from the house. My dad could start sculpting tomorrow if he wanted to. So I still think that even then it's not necessarily an excuse, but it's hard to escape that fact of, I hear this all the time. It's I feel like I'm behind, or I feel like I started too late, or I feel like, the chance has passed me by to do this. So, yeah, that was a really long tangent. But anyway, my dad's freaking awesome, super supportive. My mom was really supportive of me too, but I think that's just because she actually is awesome. But regardless of all of that, that is all just secondary, because there's going to be people that believe in you, whether it's your parents or your friends, but there's going to be plenty of people that tell you can't do it. People that actually are very close to you, good friends, best friends, girlfriends, that they will say some of the nastiest things to you, about when are you going to get a real job? You don't want to do this. You don't want to do that. It's all based around their experience and what they see for you. But, believing in yourself is probably the most important part. Okay, so I'm going to take a couple questions and we're going to wrap up today's show. So, if you don't mind, load your questions up. Question catapults! All right, ladies and gentlemen, please cast your questions over the castle walls. I hope my stories are not boring you. I just realized that I told that entire story and it may not have even reinforced the actual topic. But whatever. I'm sure you guys like hearing stories. All right. So, any questions that you have for me regarding Thoughtful Thursdays, save the art stuff for Tuesday, people. Save it. But yeah, let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of this. And that is that believing in yourself, I really feel, is the first step. And oftentimes the first step towards anything, the first step on any adventure, is oftentimes the hardest one to take. Because once you take that first step, you have committed it, more or less. It takes so much. You need to commit in your mind first that you're going to do something. Commit in your mind of the life that you want to create for yourself, the skills that you want to create for yourself, the artwork that you want to create for yourself. You need to see that all before it's actually made. And believing that you can actually do that before you can actually sit down. Remember, I told you we're going to come back to this. The hardest part I found is just believing that I can do it. And here's the other thing I want to talk about. Samwise Didier, Alvin Lee, some of you guys look up to me. You think that we sit down and we're just perfectly fine and we don't worry about anything and we're perfectly confident in our skills and we just send it off and it's perfect the first time and nobody has anything to say about it? No, that's not the case at all. No, it's like we are literally like, oh my gosh, like I have never done this before. Even though it's something as simple as like, oh hey, let's like do like some little sketches for like this little side project, right? This little side project. Let's do some little sketches that look like they go in like an old time, like a book, right? An old time illustration type thing. And it's like, oh man, it's like I've literally like drawn like production, like full on production splashes and like advertisement images before, and now I'm getting all bent out of shape out of like a stupid little sketch thing, but just because it's like, oh man, I can't remember the last time I worked with like actual physical media and like pen on paper. Like I don't know how to do that. I'm gonna freaking fail. It's gonna be terrible. They're gonna hate it, and I must suck. I must just suck, And it's like this stuff just goes through your mind all the time. But then there comes a point where you got to say, no, I believe that I can do this. I believe that I'm gonna sit down and that whatever comes out is gonna be the best thing that I can possibly create, because that is just the way that I roll. I don't let stuff go out. I don't put my name on something unless it's good, unless I am proud of it, unless I am truly satisfied with it. All right, questions coming in from Leritos Senpai. I'm starting to like that name. Can you shed some light on how Emma came to live? Did you write a script for it first, create stories based on the character, or create stories based on the character? If so, did you figure out the entire world, plot, and each of the character relates to each other before I started? Okay, great question. Laritos. Ooh, awesome. Okay, so here's what I actually did. Okay, so I had this idea for another comic. And some of you guys have actually heard this story before. I had this whole idea for another story called Shade, which is basically like this. It's the most original story you've ever heard. It's a story about a girl who has heard her parents, they're killed by demons. And then she swears her life to becoming a demon hunter. And she hunts down the Lord of all demons and kills him. Really cool story, right? But I was like, okay, the world is not ready for this. The world is not ready for a story this original and this amazing. And I might not be able to create it just right off the bat. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a nice little side story. It's going to be my little guinea pig story. Guinea pig comic. And it'll be called Emma. And it's about this little girl that fights zombies. And it's like, I don't even know what the story is. It's like, let's just start it. She like wakes up in a shed. She wakes up in a barn. And then it's like, she just runs around and like kills stuff, right? She chops zombie heads off. And like maybe she meets somebody else along the way. I don't know. And I just got started, right? And I was just so excited about it that I just decided I was going to get into it. I was just going to jump right into it. I came up with the very beginning of the story where it's like, okay, we can have some exposition with like this black and white dream sequence that kind of tells a little bit about what the story is like, and then she wakes up in the barn, But after that, I was like, okay, and yeah, and then I had this idea that there was going to be like a biker gang. That was basically all that I had in mind. It was like this marauder biker gang, post-apocalyptic, and there would be Nico, the little boy, right? And so it's gonna be Emma, Nico, and then this biker gang. And then everything that happened after that was just me kind of like sitting down, kind of shooting the crap with my friends, figuring out what we were gonna do. And then we had this idea about like biker pirates. We had biker pirates, and I was like, that sounds like the craziest idea I've ever heard. Like bikers, and they're like on a ship or something. Like that's crazy. And then slowly I decided to like that. And then Buttons, even the dog. It's like everything that came out of that story, or everything that's good that's actually been in that story, has just come from me kind of like talking to my friends and just kind of having fun with it. So the story is really like, I had a starting point, and I have like sort of like dots that I want to connect now, right? But as far as everything that's happening between, that's kind of stuff that just kind of gets filled in along the way. Ideas that I have, or things that like a place that I want the characters to go to. I'm really almost like thinking more so about immersion, and I wanted to use this as sort of like an experiment for creating environments and putting those characters in the environments and like seeing kind of how they interact with that. So that's what I would recommend to you, that if you do have an idea, sometimes it is good to just jump right into it. Worry about all that stuff later. Worry about the story later. Because the important thing is that you just get in and get started, because you will learn a lot. You will learn a lot about that stuff. You will learn a lot about whatever it is you want to do. Okay? So just jump in. Believe you can do it, and just take that first step. All right. A couple more questions, then we're ending. Brandberg saying, Keenan, there are days where I hate drawing, days where I stay up all night to draw. How do I know if I'm passionate about drawing, or if my feelings toward drawing... how do I know if I'm passionate about drawing if my feelings toward it change so drastically? Okay, Brandberg, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. There's nights where I will literally stay up all night working on stuff, and then other days where I just can't seem to do it. And I think it's really just something that you have to understand. It's almost like your passion is more like a wave, right? It's not always at the top and it's not always at the bottom. Sometimes it's right in the middle. But it's just like you need to understand the most important thing is that like you got to commit to an end goal. Where do you want to go? Where do you actually want to be? Because if you want to be a professional artist, right, you got to understand that, hey, look, I might not feel like drawing today, but I'm just going to do like a little sketch, right? Or if I'm really passionate, then I'm really going to like lay on the gas, right? I'm really going to like push the pedal to the metal and I'm going to like go all out. And just understand that your passion won't always be there. It just kind of comes and goes. But probably one of the biggest ways that I've found to eliminate your passion or kill your passion is to actually not properly, especially when you're working, right? You got to learn how to properly take breaks. Otherwise, you will experience what everybody in the industry knows about. It's the worst enemy of all of us. It's called burnout, okay? And that is basically where you're working constantly. You're not taking time to actually think about what you're doing. You're just going, but you're doing circles around and around and around and around. And then eventually you get burnt out because you feel like you're not getting anywhere. And it's because you actually aren't getting anywhere. You're just busy being busy. You're not taking time to step back and look at the entire landscape of where you're going and where you like what your actual goal is. So if you ever feel like you're just getting a little burnt out, make sure you just kind of take a step back. Ask yourself, what are my goals? What is it exactly that I want to do? Do I want to bring a new style to the world? Do I want to create my own thing? Do I want to create a story? Do I want to do a comic, or do I want to write a book? You know, just like think about all those things. Think about where you want to go. All right, couple more questions and then we're done. We're done. Chalcedonics. Oh man, I got so many good questions. Gosh, maybe what I'm thinking, like, maybe what I should do from now on is Thoughtful Thursday. I'll just do, like, a little thing. I'll just do, like, a little subject, and then I'll have you guys ask me questions around that subject, and then I'll let that. Because you guys are so freaking awesome. You guys, so many good questions. I feel bad. I can only answer a couple more. Okay, let's see. Sin is asking, hey, Keenan, I just want to say that your videos have helped me so much. Massive inspiration. Oh, wait, this is not a question. But whatever, we'll read it anyway. Towards me and my stream. Hey, Sin has his own stream. Very cool. His or her stream. So thanks, man. Fanboy moment. Okay, it is a man. Great. Very glad you could join us, Sin. All right. Okay. BB Shadowcat is asking, hi, Keenan. You left working for Riot and now are back working for them. Not everyone are so lucky to return to a company they left. How did you handle that? BB Shadowcat. Let me tell you how I did it. So I, first of all, left on good terms. I told them, hey, look, I'm quitting because I have this thing that I want to do. I'm very passionate about it. I just want to try it. Maybe it'll crash and burn. And then, you know, if you guys are willing to, actually, I don't even think I said that if you guys are willing to take me back. I just said, look, I'm quitting my job today. I got this thing. I got to try it. Like, it's so, like, it is me. Like, this comic, this passion, this show, the things that I want to do with my life, they are burning so strongly inside of me. I can't hold them back anymore. And I want my time back. I need my time back. So I have to leave. Right. And, you know, because you could attribute to the amount of value that I brought to the company. When I decided I was going to leave, the art director told me, he's like, hey, well, just know that if you ever want to come back, there's going to be a spot waiting for you. So I really think the key to that is, you know, you just got to provide value. Like, if you're good at what you do, people will always want you. And if it wasn't Riot Games that I could do work for, sure enough, I could have found another company to work for, and I still can. You know, like, when you have skills and when you have things to offer, people want to work with you. So understand the most important thing is that you develop that skill, develop that value, become a valuable person, and people will naturally want to work with you. Okay. And understand that, yeah, a lot of people say, like, oh, well, people should just want to work with me because I'm nice. Because I'm a nice person, right? But it's like, nice is, nobody cares that, you know, nobody at Riot Games, or nobody playing League of Legends cares that necessarily, like, I mean, you could say they, like, care, but nobody actually really cares that the people that work at the company are nice. All they care is that the game is done, the splash is done, the character is done. And so you got to understand that, like, business is a time not necessarily for you to be, like, nice per se, but it's a time for you to bring what you got to the table. You got to bring your skills, right? It's a war and you're fighting it. So you got to bring those skills. All right. Last question. Ooh, interesting. Unix Mighty totally butchered your name, sorry. Asking, Keenan, how do you balance your hunger with your happiness? You said in the past that progress is the key to happiness, but my drive to get better at drawing is so strong that it makes it hard for me to appreciate where I am with drawing already. As a result, I end up unsatisfied with everything I make, and it kills my passion for drawing. Have you experienced this before? How do you suggest for people experiencing its balance the drive to get better with satisfaction for where they are now? Okay, we're going to end on this. Thank you for that question, Unix. And basically, it's like balancing that hunger is understand that it's always going to be there. It's not so much that you have to balance it, but you just have to understand that it's part of you. Even myself, I look at my art these days and I'm like, this is great, but I know that I can improve. I know there's so many things that I can improve on, not just with like painting, but I look at stuff like animation, and it's like, I love the stuff that people put on YouTube where it's like animated stuff. And it's like, I would love to be able to branch into that, but it's like, oh, that's like a whole nother thing. And I know some things about animation, but I don't know how to use Flash. I don't know how to do this and that, and it's like, and I have to draw 24 pictures for a second. 1 second is 24 pictures. Oh man, just thinking about that, it just like blows my mind. So, but understand that hunger will always be there, and it is a good thing. It really is, because that hunger is going to be there for your entire life. But the way that you balance it and appreciate where you are now is to, I really feel that probably the best thing to do is just compare it to your old work. Just see the strides that you're making. Progress is important. And in order to see progress, you got to say, hey, look, where was I a year ago? Where was I 2 years ago? Where was I when I first started to learn how to draw? Like, you really got to understand that progress is just, it's going to be a part of your life as well as that hunger. And that there's not necessarily anything wrong with either of them. But feeling unsatisfied because you want to get better is that's just part of it. You got to understand it. Don't let it destroy you. Don't let it destroy your passion, because that's taking a step back. It's like, oh, well, everything that I do isn't good enough. Everything that I do, it needs to be better. I want to be better, right? And that's good. But then don't take that and be like, oh, but maybe I won't ever be better. Maybe I should just quit. Maybe I should just stop. You see how you're losing belief in yourself. You got to have that. You got to have that belief, and you got to understand that, look, like, you're on a journey. You're going to get there. You're going to get to the end. Just like, hey, Journey just came out on the PS4. You're the guy going for the mountain, the light on the mountain. That's you. That's you right there, right? You're going to incur a lot of different scary things. Big, scary snake monsters are going to be shining their light down on you. You're going to have to hide from them for a little bit. But eventually, and I'm not going to spoil the ending. I spoiled the middle, but anyway, but you will get to your destination eventually by interesting means. Almost seems like when everybody thinks that you don't have anything left in you, you find a way to pull it out, and then you make it, right? Something happens that just pushes you over that edge, and you will make it if you believe in yourself. All right, guys. So before we take off, I'd like to say thank you to my awesome sponsors of the show, David Cariello and Laura Bashir. These people are awesome. These are my defenders of the KNKL Kingdom. They have sponsored the show. If you would like to sponsor the show and get a cool animated avatar made of yourself just like this, then you can head on over to the Patreon and check it out. All the details on there. Get all kinds of other cool goodies. And you guys can go and have yourselves a good time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, with all that, we're going to end today's show. Thank you for joining me live on Twitch. People on YouTube, thumbs up if you like, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Keenan Lafferty. You guys have yourselves a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Tuesday, where we will be starting a new tutorial. How about that? All right. So you guys take care of yourselves, and until next time, stay awesome.